Welcome back to the George Mason Men's Volleyball weekly Facebook Live Q&A with head coach Jay Hosack, head coach of the EIVA leading George Mason Patriots. Let's start with that. I know you as a head coach, you always talk about how there's always room for improvement, but when it comes down to the wins and losses in the first portion of EIVA play, you have to be pretty satisfied with how it unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, being 6-0 is always a good thing. I think all those matches that we played early in the year against the top teams just kind of let us see where our weaknesses were and what we can improve upon, and that was the goal of that. So that worked out well. And going into Penn State weekend is always a daunting task because it's a good team and they're ranked, and but we liked our chances and we liked the things we were doing, and going in there and going 3-0 is always good. So there's a lot of matches left in the conference, but we gave ourselves a nice little cushion, and thanks to Princeton, they got a match from them as well. So that helps out, and we just got to keep maintaining the level of play that we're at now, and keep making improvements where we can, but just keep playing steady.
In the Saturday match against Sacred Heart, you guys tied your season high in service aces, and then both Friday and Saturday, for that matter, from what I saw, there were plenty of other serves that got the Pioneers kind of discombobulated, unable to recover. When you saw how you guys were performing from the service line over the weekend, did you kind of think, okay, that's the new bar, that's how we need to perform if we're going to beat some of these top teams this weekend?
For sure, you're looking at the performance of the servers. I'm not so sure that Sacred Heart is at the level of passers that maybe some of the other teams we're going to face coming up, but the pressure that we're giving behind the service line is really good right now. And we don't have to do anything different. We just got to continue to make an attempt to push them off the net a little bit. And that's, when you face good teams, their ability to control the first contact is going to be one of the reasons why they're good and why they're top 5 or top 7 teams. So this weekend we're not sugarcoating anything and thinking, oh, we got it made if we serve well. They're going to be really good passers, and so the rest of the game is going to come into play, and that's again another test for us to see where we are stacked up against the top teams in the country.
The first question that we have comes from Matt. He wants to know, what do you want the culture of men's volleyball to be?
It's a good question, Matt. A couple of years ago when I first got the job, we talked about changing the culture specifically. And one of the things that I thought the team really lacked was a sense of swagger, a sense of confidence walking into the gym knowing they can compete with anybody in the country. And it took a little while to get used to that. It's not easy trying to fake that feeling of we belong here. And I think after winning the IVA that year, or at least in the second half of the season when we went 12-0, there's a sense of confidence and an air of that yeah, we do belong here in this conversation. And I think that culture has permeated everybody who comes in contact with this team. And I think no longer are we walking into gyms of the biggest and best teams and going, geez, I hope we play well. It's, hey, we're going to give you our best, and let the chips fall where they may. And I think that's come into fruition this last few weeks. So we're pretty happy about that. And it's just we come in every day with our work helmets on and our lunch pails ready to go, and we just get after it. And that's good. It's a good culture.
Looking ahead to this weekend, going to Southern California, obviously, having Southern California be your original hometown, is this extra special for you, this road trip?
Well, it's always nice to go back to, where I spend the majority of my time growing up. I'll get to see some old friends and spend some time with family, and that's always a great recharge. And, I'm familiar with the area, so I'm not, kind of scrambling around wondering where things are. I kind of know where things are. That's always good. But, we're going out there with the intent of playing some good teams and competing, and that's it doesn't matter what coast we're on or where we are. It's just a matter of, hey, we're going to lace them up and we're going to get dirty and see what happens.
Well, one of the good teams that you'll face, CSUN, on Friday, #1 in the nation in aces per set. When you face a team that's #1 in the nation in anything, is that a big focal point of the game plan? Like, hey, passers, you got to be on your A game against the Matadors?
I think more so it's not from me, it's from them. They watch the video just as much as I do, and so they know that they've got some guys that can bring it from the service line, and that's definitely something we've got to prepare for. But I don't think there's really any extra preparation we're doing. We're just saying, hey, we know this guy likes likes to do this, and here's what we got to look out for. And we got some guys they can bring it too. So it's two teams that, last year when we faced them, we beat them in 3, but I'm not so sure everybody thought we could do that with the team that we had out there. We had a lot of young guys, and this year they're going to have a little revenge on their minds. They're a little upset that a team with no ranking came in and beat them. And so this year we're going into it with like, hey, we know we can beat this team. Let's just go out there and play hard and see where the chips fall.
Glad you mentioned last year's game, because that was going to be my next question. Even though it was a 3-setter, it seemed like in the box score that each set was a dogfight. How much do you think that experience that the guys went through of each set being a dogfight will help this time around?
Well, it definitely shows that you can be battle tested and come out on the other side and feel good about your performance and get the W. Our guys will have confidence walking into that game, and playing at Northridge is a hostile environment. They got some fans that are pretty rowdy, and that's good. It's good for volleyball, and it puts a little bit more pressure because now you're not in your own element. And I like that challenge, and I think our guys are going to respond well to that. And we're just, we're excited about getting out there and playing some good teams.
The next question that we have comes from Sean. I'm wondering whether or not you'll be able to answer in terms of recruiting rules, but I'll ask anyway. He wants to know, what are you saying to possible recruits about the advantage of choosing Mason volleyball over other EIVA schools?
Well, this program is pretty unique for a few reasons. One is it's one of the 22 Division I programs in the country, so that's big in its own right. Secondly, the location of this place, being right next door to DC, is a huge opportunity for kids, especially that want to get into computer science or politics or anything like that. I mean, you're right next door to some of the biggest and best companies in the world. Washington DC is a major hub; it's a metropolis. So you get that, and then you get the quality of the education here. I mean, this is an R100 university, and when you look at the other schools that are in that group, you're with some pretty good company. And the unique thing I think that I heard President Cabrera talk about is that it's not necessarily the fact that we're in that, because that was always a goal, but we are the youngest university to ever be invited to be in that group, and that's huge. It shows the trajectory of the school. So you do all that, and then you factor in the quality of the education, the location of the campus, and then the beauty of the campus. I mean, this is an absolutely gorgeous place to spend some time. So, those are the things that we're really touting, is that, volleyball is volleyball. You're going to get better, and we're going to, help you get to wherever you want to go the next stop. But the quality of the education here is what we're really touting here.
Do you preach education first, volleyball second?
Without question, and that's not lip service. My guys know that if you're not going to class, I hear about it real quickly, and that changes. And I think all college athletes, or just college students in general, being away from home for the first time can really pose some challenges for them, time management wise. Being a student athlete is a much more difficult time, because you're dealing not only with student requirements, but now you have some athletic requirements of you as well. And if you're traveling, being away from campus and being away from the classes, that can be a little tough. And so, we do the best thing, the best job that we can, helping these kids get access to things that they can help them out with those. But the reality is you've just got to learn how to be a better manager of your time. And I was a student athlete at one time. I know how difficult it can be. I don't put up with a lot of fluff. If a guy's sick or if a guy is not feeling too well, I understand you might miss a class here and there, but if you're just missing class because you'd rather hang out with your friends and play video games, this isn't the program for you. There's a lot of other places where you could do that, and the coach might not care. I don't know many that do, but not here. So.
Against UCLA, the Saturday opponent. We'll see how they do against Pepperdine tonight, but they've lost 4 of their last 5 matches. In your experience being around the game of volleyball, when great teams are in a funk like that, two-part question here, do they then come out kind of with extra aggression and extra motivation? And then if that's the case, that you've noticed that, is that something that the guys are cautioned about, like, hey, UCLA might be extra motivated because of this recent, struggle that they've been on?
Well, let's take into consideration who they played. I mean, they played Long Beach State twice. They played BYU in their place. Those are not easy places to play. And so I think when you look at that, that can't be too big of a deciding factor of how they're feeling. I think obviously they're a little bit bummed. but they understand that they've got to get better at a few things. So, do I think they're going to come in extra motivated? I think they obviously want to win. I don't think there's necessarily any extra motivation. I do think that there's maybe some moments where maybe they're questioning some things that they're doing, or maybe the level of play that they're playing at. But they're a well-coached team. Sprod knows what he's doing. Their assistant coaches are really good, and it's a high caliber of a program. So I doubt very highly it's going to be anything that's going to knock them off the rails too bad.
They have one of the best, arguably one of the best setters in the country, Micah Maha. He's been at or near the top of assists per set all season. When the opponent that you face has a setter who's so good at what he does, how does that kind of affect the focal point of the game plan when the setter is one of their better players on the team?
I had the fortunate opportunity to coach Micah last summer for the junior national team and witness firsthand some of the things he can do. The thing about Micah that makes him so good is not just his setting abilities, because obviously he can put the ball in the right spots. It's his creativity. It's his leadership on the court. He's got one heck of a serve. And his ability to play defense, he's almost cat-like. It's an uncanny ability to play defense and just get a ball up in the air. So, you couple all those things along with having, a good attacking team. It's a pretty lethal combination. Micah's one of the best in the country and might be on the national team someday. And, should he choose to go that route, I think he'll be pretty successful. Should he choose to play on the beach, he'll be really successful there. The other thing is he could be a really great coach someday. So, Micah's probably seen more volleyball than I'll ever have, and at such a young age, because he just was surrounded by it by so many people in Hawaii. So, yeah, Micah's really good. You got to watch out, because he'll sting you if you're not careful.
When you hear about how the 2018 squad could be the first George Mason team to beat UCLA, what adjective would you choose to describe that opportunity?
Tenacious. I mean, we're a team that, and I doubt very highly anybody's overlooking us now. Maybe at the beginning of the year we might have been a team that they're kind of like, all right, if we just play well, we probably can handle it. But if you watch our past few matches, there's no reason for anybody to overlook us. But we're just tenacious. We get after it. We talk about being relentless in practice and relentless in our pursuit of greatness. And teams will have to play well to beat us. They know we're going to bring it from the service line. They know we got some good passers, and they're not going to just be able to put the ball on the court with us and probably get a point here and there. They're going to have to earn everything they get. So I like that. That's always fun. The challenge for us is we got 3 matches in 5 days, and we've just got to manage our ability to get some rest in between and keep our focus high and just go after it.
All right, barring any last-minute questions from the viewers, we'll wrap up with the weekly X's and O's questions. You talk about when you recruit pin hitters, you don't specifically focus on opposite versus outside hitter. You just go for those who specialize as a pin hitter. What are the differences exactly between an outside hitter and an opposite hitter?
Well, there's specifics for outside versus opposite. There's a few that are very different. First of all, most outside hitters, almost all of them, are passers, primary passers. And the clinics I've done around the country and the seminars I've done, the kids that always ask the question, what do you look for? You could be the biggest hitter in the gym, but if you can't pass a ball, it's not going to help you out much. And I always say that, the arm is for show, but the passing is for dough. That's where the real moneymaker is. And so first and foremost, you got to be a good passer if you're going to be a pin hitter. Opposites don't need to necessarily pass as well. There's a trend going on right now where opposites are stepping in and becoming a little bit more of a passing threat because they may have played outside hitter at club, and you're facing a big server who is bringing some heat, and you want to kind of shorten or shrink the lanes, so to speak, of responsibility. It's a great skill for opposites to have. The tricky part is outside hitters hit usually on the left side, front row, maybe out of the middle and the back row with some stuff. And some outsides will hit front row on the right side if they're the 0-1 or the 0-2, depending. Opposites are mostly hitting from the right side only, and hitting from the back row on the right side is a much different look. The vision is completely different. You got a ball that's traveling across your body as opposed to taking it as it comes at your body. And so you got to be a little more patient, especially if you want to hit line versus cross court. The footwork is different when you're blocking. You're going goofy footed to get to where you want to go versus going regular footed when you're making a blocking move to the left. Defense is relatively the same. You're just in a different location on the court. Serving obviously is no different, but there's just some little nuances here and there. But passing is probably the biggest separator of the good outside hitters from the great outside hitters for sure.
Very well put. Just a reminder, if you want to ask the coach a question, you either send it in ahead of time or ask in the comment section of the live video with the hashtag AskJ. Jay, 3 big tests this weekend. You got CSUN on Friday, UCLA on Saturday, and then UC Irvine on Tuesday. All games will take place at 10 p.m. Eastern time, so grab some coffee and stay up late for those if you're watching home. Jay, safe travels to California this weekend, and best of luck in the 3 matches.
Thank you. We are.
Mason.